أناجي الحق في ليل بهيم أصدق النجوى وأدعو الله من قلب سليم يطلب التقوى أناجي الحق في ليل بهيم أصدق النجوى وأدعو الله من قلب سليم يطلب التقوى.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban bikum, and welcome to another edition of Perspective. My name is Faizel Patel. In tonight's show, we look at the recent crime stats, we look at the Nigerian building collapse, Crime Line renews its vows with the South African Police Service, and we also look at some tech news as well. Remember, you can interact with me by sending me a mail on Faizel at itvnetworks.tv. Send me a tweet on @Faizi143, or even drop me a comment on facebook.com/Faizel Patel. Now, there's been general shock following the latest crime statistics, particularly in Gauteng, with murder up by more than 11% in the province. Now, armed robbery with aggravated circumstances is up by almost 19%. The latest wave of shopping mall robberies, and we've seen it with the iStores, cell phone shops, has seen a number of tech stores being hit, and there are now calls for crime stats to be released on a monthly basis so that there can be better response to trends. So what are your thoughts? Monthly basis on which crime stats are released? Probably a good idea. Let me know your thoughts. The police ministry released the figures in Pretoria last week, Friday. The alarming increases in serious violent crime, including murder, attempted murder, and aggravated robbery, should serve as a wake-up call for all South Africans. And we've seen it. The crime is just getting out of control. And now the stats are proving such, isn't it? It's proving that all violent crimes, especially murder and armed robbery, is on the increase. Now, this is according to the Institute for Security Studies, or ISS. Gareth Newham, he's the head of the Institute of Governance, Crime and Justice Division, says for the first time in democracy, there were 2 consecutive years where murder has increased. Now, the murder had gone up by 650 cases in the previous cycle, and in the period reported on Friday, it had gone up again by 809 cases. So that's a big jump. Now, that is 4 additional murders every day, on average, in the most recent financial year. Now, along with increases in attempted murder and aggravated robbery, this showed it was time for a new approach to reducing violent crime. So if you got thoughts on how we can reduce this rate of murders and aggravated assault and robbery, let me know your thoughts. It is getting out of hand. And is it deterring tourists coming to South Africa? They're reading it in the newspapers, they can read it online, they see television. Is it deterring them from coming to our beautiful country? And then Newham goes on to say he welcomed Police Minister Nathi Ntleko's promise of a national dialogue on reducing crime and violence in Gauteng. He says it's important for the community to be aware of the crime problems affecting their communities. And this is such an important point. It is such an important point. I've reported on a number of crime stories within the Lenasia area and surrounds as well. And sometimes people are afraid. They are afraid of reporting a crime. I had a case where a lady was burgled and they were made to lie on the ground, and they caught the suspects, but they didn't go ahead with the case. They failed to report it. They decided to drop the charges because for fear of reprisal. And that is not the case. Once these criminals go free and they continue with their apparent attacks and apparent robberies, we must stop them in their tracks. Report the crimes. Now, the DA's Diane Kohler-Barnard says real-time crime statistics should be available at every police station. And I think that's a good idea. It should be available. You as a journalist or you as a concerned resident can go to your police station and says, let me know the amount of murders in Lenasia. Let me know the amount of armed robberies in Lenasia. And you can have a look at the statistics. But there is obviously a catch. The National Police Commissioner, Ria Piecha, reiterated that Cabinet's 2005 decision that the stats will only be released on an annual basis. But it doesn't make sense, does it? Why do you have to wait a whole year to know how many murders was committed? Why do you have to wait a whole year for that? If they can give you the stats on a monthly basis, you can tackle these crimes immediately. It means after a month that you know that the murder is increasing or robbery is increasing, you can tackle it immediately. Why wait for the whole month? Let me know your thoughts and comments by sending me a tweet or mailing me or even dropping a comment on Facebook. So that's a story on with regards to crime stats. It is increasing. A deterrent for tourists. Let us see what happens, but let us hope that the police can curb the scourge of crime that's plaguing our country. Staying with the crime story, the massively successful Crime Line initiative will continue after the South African Police and Prime Media Group renewed the Memorandum of Understanding that was initially entered to in 2007. So Crime Line, as we know, is a tip-off, a number where you report crime anonymously, and obviously gives the police an upper hand to arrest criminals when they are about to commit a crime. Now, the renewal was signed at the ceremony launching the 35th Crime Stoppers International Conference, which will be jointly hosted by the South African Police Services and Crime Line, and this will take place in October 2014 in Cape Town. I did manage to speak to Crime Line's head, Yusuf Abramji, and to quote him, he says, "Indeed, Alhamdulillah, 7 years later, we are taking the Crime Line initiative to the next level. As we reflect, we started Crime Line in a very small way, a partnership between the public, the media, and the police." Now, also, Yusuf Abramji also thanked a number of local community radio stations, particularly Radio Islam in Lenasia, for the ongoing support of Crime Line, and that is quite honorable. I think Radio Islam has been doing an absolutely brilliant job with regards to reporting on crime that's happening within the community area. Now, as a direct result of tip-offs received via Crime Line and Crime Stop between 2007 and 2014, this is staggering. 3,280 people have been arrested and over 56 million rand worth of illegal or unlawfully obtained property and goods have been seized. So absolutely brilliant. It's the tip-offs from you, the public, to Crime Line that have resulted in this arrest and obviously the seizing of goods to this such exorbitant value. Now, in addition, as a result of the Drug Watch campaign conducted in Gauteng and the Western Cape, close on 30,000 people were taken into custody, and under the electricity theft campaign operation Ghanisa, 2,829 Eskom cases have been solved. We know that some suburbs have been plagued by electricity cable theft, pylon theft in Lenasia, and your tip-offs once again has helped the police to resolve these crimes. Now, hosting the 35th Crime Stoppers International Conference is an exciting joint venture between the SAPS and Crime Line. Together, they are working towards making it the most memorable and educational to date. And it's, like I said, mentioning in Cape Town. Now, Crime Stoppers International will be holding their annual gathering in a country on the African continent for the first time in 2014 this year. And then they say the law enforcement officers will be able to learn, to teach, to network, and to share with local and international experts and other delegates. Now, at the ceremony, also SAPS National Commissioner General Ria Piecha and Prime Media CEO Roger Jardine urged whistleblowers to continue reporting all criminal activity in the communities to the Crime Line stop number, which is 08600 10111, and the Crime Line SMS number 32211. Now, on that particular day when this whole initiative was renewed, Crime Line also launched a new logo at the event. Basically what they say is boldly embodying our credibility and authority as an independent crime tip-off service. The new Crime Line logo represents our commitment to accessibility and providing an effective way to get tip-offs to the South African Police Service. Now, we all live in fear. There's no doubt about it. Whether it's myself, yourself, we all live in fear. There is no doubt about that. But that shouldn't allow us to give up hope. Don't give up hope. Crime is prevalent. Many people have fallen victim to crime. you cannot give up to these criminal elements and have to take the philosophy of blowing the whistle on crime to every corner of South Africa. Please remember that it is without you, we can't apprehend these criminals. So go to the Crime Line website, report these criminals, and let us curb crime in South Africa. A brilliant initiative by Crime Line, Prime Media, and the South African Police Service. Staying with crime as well, Muslim pilgrims, Hajis, we know we are in Hajj season, are being warned about using the prayer facilities at the OR Tambo International Airport, which is just east of Johannesburg. Now this comes after an unknown assailant walked into the ladies' prayer facility at the airport, at OR Tambo International Airport, which is located on the 3rd floor during Maghrib Salah, which is sunset, on Saturday last week, and snatched handbags belonging to a number of women that were engaged in prayer. Now, I did speak to the airport's company of South Africa, and they said they can confirm that the South African Police Service, or SAPS, at OR Tambo is currently investigating a case of theft following an incident at one of the prayer facilities at the airport. This is according to Neo Kellis, and she's from EXA. Now, the company's security department is working closely with the police on this matter. Airports Company South Africa also expresses its regret at the incident and ensures the public that the safety and security of airports users is top priority. The company works closely with all its security agencies to constantly review the effectiveness of current security measures at the airport. And then EXA has appealed to the public, and I also appeal to the public to report any criminal activity or suspicious persons at any one of the South African Police Service desks strategically positioned at various airports, in various places at the airport. Alternatively, passengers may contact the customer care line directly on 921 011 921 6262, or you can email them on customercare@airports.co.za. And then the Airports Company went on further, took the opportunity to wish all their passengers a safe traveling, especially those that are going for Hajj. We're going to go for a break. After the break, inshallah, we will continue with other stories making headlines. Stay tuned.
أصدق النجوى وأدعو الله من قلب سليم يطلب التقوى إلهي صرت في ظرف عصيب فاكشف البلوى فيا ربي أنا.
Welcome back to Perspective. A masjid in Patel in Mpumalanga was vandalized after Fajr Salah on Friday morning last week. Now, according to a source that I spoke to, unknown suspects broke a number of lights outside the masjid light fittings, and then this is disgusting. They spiked a snake approximately 1 to 2 meters in length, which they then cut in half. They took the snake, they cut it in half, and they put it on the palisade fencing outside the Bethal Town Masjid in Clerk Street in Bethal, which is in Mpumalanga. Now, the community suspects, this is not, well, they don't know whether it is as personal, but they suspect that a mentally handicapped person who frequents the taxi rank opposite the masjid is allegedly responsible for the vandalism. Now, the source that I spoke to said that the same mentally handicapped person used to allegedly dispose of garbage and trash on the masjid premises on previous occasions, but they don't know whether he's responsible for this particular act or despicable act that took place. Now, the local police are aware of the incident, and according to the source, he says the police were informed, but they said that because there are no suspects, they are not going to open charges. And then the Masjid Committee is also considering arranging security during Salah times and even installing CCTV cameras to ensure that future incidents like this do not occur. So, some people also tweeted me and sent me messages that it could be maybe someone that is against Islam. We know that Islam has come under the spotlight with regards to ISIS or IS. We know with regards to the open mosque and a whole lot of other issues as well. And they said it could be possible that it's against an attack on Muslims. But obviously there's no evidence to such. We have seen on previous occasions at masajids where there was a pig, a head of a pig left at the masjid. Some people destroyed the musalla During the month of Ramadan, there were some masjids that were robbed. Muslims were robbed of their possessions. But like I said, there's no evidence in this particular case that Muslims were the target. But inshallah, if there is a development on the story, we will bring it to you in a future episode of Perspective. Now, another story that's been making headlines, and it's been splashed across widestream media as well, is about the Nigerian building collapse. And it's been making headlines as well. TB Joshua, a controversial character, and let's see. I mean, it's just absolutely. I mean, it's terrible that so many people had to die. The Nigerian preacher, like I said, TB Joshua, says he will be traveling to South Africa in the coming weeks to meet the families and survivors of the building that collapsed at his church in Lagos. Now, a guest house at the Synagogue Church of All Nations, that's the name of this particular building, collapsed about 9 days ago, killing 84 South Africans. Now, Joshua has been blamed for responding too slowly to the disaster and not giving information on the victims. There are also reports that he blames the devil for this whole fiasco that happened, the building collapse. He said the devil is responsible, and he's claiming that those that died in the building were martyrs. And it was quite controversial. He's come under extreme fire for that. Now, Nigeria's leader, Goodluck Jonathan, who's the president of Nigeria, he visited the church on Saturday last week and promised to investigate the cause of the incident. Now, he says he will be holding talks with construction companies this week on how to prevent a repeat of the tragedy, adding that he had sent his condolences to his counterpart, President Jacob Zuma. Now, while a South African team in Nigeria continues the tedious task of identifying the victims of the Nigerian guest house building collapse, TB Joshua has been hit with claims of bribery. Like I said, it's just a whole lot of controversy surrounding him at the moment. There are reports also when the building collapsed, he refused emergency workers to go there and rescue people. So what is he hiding? And then there was also reports, and no doubt you've seen the video. He says there was a plane, and if you've seen the video on mainstream media, there was a plane that was flying past. He said that the plane was responsible for bombing the building. He blamed it on the devil. So what is happening at the moment? Now, a journalist in Nigeria took to social media alleging that Joshua offered reporters 50,000 naira each. That means journalists, 50,000 naira each journalist after an impromptu media gathering. The Nigerian journalist Nicholas Ibekwe claims after Joshua spoke to the media at his church, he offered them a brown envelope filled with money. Ibekwe claims this is a common practice at Joshua's church and says most of the people with him accepted the offer. Now, that is unethical from a journalist. Here you got a report, a story, 86 people died. I understand that the figure has gone up now to 115, a significant number of South Africans that perished in the building collapse as well. And here you got a journalist that needs to be, journalist that's supposed to be impartial, bring the story to people, what actually happened there, and they accepting a bribe, allegedly accepting a bribe from TB Joshua. Now this journalist later uploaded an audio clip which he says is the recording of Joshua offering the bribe. Now, the authenticity of this clip has not yet been verified, but last week a South African author also claimed Joshua offered his television crew thousands of American dollars during a visit to his church. Now, Joshua, who has blamed the incident on sabotage, like I said earlier mentioned, he blamed the incident on the devil. He called those that perished in the building collapse as martyrs. Is one of Nigeria's best-known evangelical preachers, and is referred to by his followers as the prophet or the man of God. Now, you've probably seen it on television. He has had a number of prominent celebrities that went to him, rugby players, Joyce Panda, the Prime Minister or the President of Malawi has been there as well. And he's got this whole thing about, he can cure AIDS, or allegedly can cure AIDS, he can cure cancer, and celebrities and people have been just flocking. And in recent reports as well, it's referred to them, like I mentioned, that he said he's coming to South Africa, and then he made a statement with regards to it, and he's come under extreme criticism for that. He says, those people that can't afford a plane ticket to Nigeria, Because he's coming to South Africa, those people that can't afford a plane ticket to Nigeria, he's coming to South Africa and he's going to be doing a couple of sermons here in South Africa, and they can hear him preach. So let me know what your thoughts and comments are. 86 South African perished. We don't know what the cause is. The investigations will continue, but absolute tragedy that so many people had to lose their lives in this particular incident as well. Now, coming on to our tech news, Apple finally unveiled the long-awaited iPhone 6 at the Cupertino event on the 9th of September alongside the iPhone 6 Plus. We know that Apple was under a severe pressure with regards to the likes of Samsung and LG, who've just been maybe catching up. I don't know whether they actually beat Apple or not, or they're going to supersede Apple, but they've been under pressure. If you look at the Samsung S5 or you look at the LG Flex, they got massive bigger screens, their clarity, their pixel count on the screens are absolutely better. And Apple's iPhone, a brilliant phone, no doubt, but obviously the screen is a bit smaller compared to the other phones. Now, looking at specs-wise alone, it's a miracle Apple sells any iPhones. So let's ask this question. I'm asking the viewers this question. What phone do you use? Do you use an iPhone? Do you use an Android phone like the Samsung S5? Do you use a Galaxy? But if you use an Apple iPhone, obviously maybe less on features a bit. Why do you use the iPhone? Is it a better or seamless more phone? I use it as a journalist. It just makes things a lot much easier. I've got a MacBook Pro, I got my iPad, and I got my iPhone. If I write something on my iPhone, automatically via iCloud, it goes onto my iPad. From my iPad, it goes onto my Mac. It saves it a lot of time to rewrite the whole story as well. Now, the iPhone 6 with its 7-inch screen, A8 brain, iOS 8, NFC, and a bigger battery. Finally, Apple has an iPhone to compete on specs, an industrial design, and apps, and an ecosystem. If you've seen the pictures, it looks absolutely brilliant. I can tell you one thing, I can't wait. Absolutely can't wait. It promises to be the best iPhone ever. So let's find out if the reality lives up to that dream. As for availability in South Africa, talk about from experience, and from my experience, normally it comes at the end of October, early December. It could be sooner than that, but there will be a massive waiting queue, so get in line for that one. Another story on technology, a new app has been developed that will help the blind see. This is a brilliant app. The new app that allows blind people to listen to an audio readback of printed text is receiving rave reviews after its first day of availability and is being heralded as a life changer by many people that cannot see. Blind people say the KNFB Reader app will enable a new level of engagement in everyday life, from reading menus in restaurants to browsing handouts in the classroom. Kurzweil, who developed the app, demonstrated the app on stage at the NFB's annual convention in June and said it can replace a sighted advisor. It costs about $99. The app is a result of 4 decades of long relationship between the National Federation of the Blind and Ray Kurzweil, who is a well-known artificial intelligence scientist and senior Google employee. Now, according to its website, KNFB Reading Technology and Sensotech, a Belgium-based company, led the technical development of the app. Now, the app will be available on Android. It's currently available on iOS. It will be available on Android in the ongoing months. And Kurzweil told Reuters, which is the news agency, in an interview, he may also explore a version of the app for Google Glass, a postage stamp signed computer screen that attaches to the eyeglass frames, and capable of taking photos, recording video, and playing sound. We just got a little bit over a minute left. Remember that the Hajj season is upon us. ITV will be bringing you some coverage of the Hajj broadcast. Actually, not some, extensive coverage of the Hajj. So stay tuned to ITV for all your Hajj broadcasts, all the news stories, interviews, and you will thoroughly enjoy it. Unfortunately, we've come to the end of another edition of Perspective. Join me again, inshallah, next week when we bring you stories making news locally, nationally, and internationally. Remember, you can interact with me by sending me a mail on Faizel@itvnetworks.tv. Send me a tweet on @Faizi143 or even a comment on facebook.com/Faizel Patel. For myself, Faizel Patel, and the great team at ITV, fi amanillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
أناجي الحق في ليل بهيم أصدق النجوى وأدعو الله من قلب سليم يطلب التقوى أناجي الحق في ليل بهيم أصدق النجوى وأدعو الله من قلب سليم يطلب التقوى إلهي صرت في ظرف عصيب فاكشف البلوى فيا ربي أنا عبد لرد الضيم لا يقوى